You're listening to the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Let's go bowling!
Welcome to the Let's Go Bowling Show, heard every Wednesday on the Tan Talk Radio Network. GoBowlingShow.com is the website. I'm Ken, the host. I'd like to welcome in Let's Go Bowling's Platinum Coach, Bill Zubin.
Hey, great to be here. I don't think we're going to do much work today. We got a couple of great guests. Let's get started.
And Bill, now we're going to go out to
Bert Goodman, one of the great action shooters of the past, and from what I'm told, one of the greatest storytellers out there. Maybe right up there with Larry Lichtenstein and our guy hanging on the phone, Jean-Marc Manzione. So, Bert, great to have you on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Glad to be on with you. Yeah, well, it's really something after all these years to get this acknowledgement, and especially since A.C. Butch put me in with a website. I've been very, very much back together again. Unfortunately, I can't bowl anymore, but I certainly can teach. I was an AMF teacher with Dick Weber.
Back in the day when we actually had people going around the country giving lessons.
I did a lot in Connecticut with some of the Dodger pitchers that owned their own establishments. So I was very familiar with that. And I opened up and helped Sid Gordon in Brooklyn when I did an exhibition for him. And he and I were very close with baseball because I pitched baseball in the Navy. I also pitched softball, windmill style. I was one of the pitchers that went into the Grumman hangar with that famous Grumman team. And unfortunately, I lost the game 3-2. But I felt very good about doing what I did.
Yeah, just to be able to participate at that level is something great. Now, Saturday, I met, I'm going to say an old friend, and I know I'm going to mess up the first name, but is it Dan or Don Ippolito? He used to be the pro shop at West Haven.
Yeah?
Yeah, he said, you going to have Bert on? Man, that guy never shuts up.
He's absolutely right. I was always a very extrovertish type of individual, but when it came to the bowling, I was quiet.
Now, I'd asked Jean-Marc earlier, you have a little 3-minute video with you and Joe Joseph. Can you give us some of the background on why those lanes were black?
It was a stunt that was done to bring the people to the program itself. We used white Brunswick balls that were overweight that had to be re-drilled into standard figures. And I was king of those, believe it or not. I used to average at least 250 on a pair.
On the black lanes with the white ball?
The black lanes, yes.
Wow.
And they were oiled properly. The thing that you got to understand is this is the only house in the country that Brunswick set up that had 12-foot boards. All the other ones had 10-foot boards. And it was a lot better for stroking rather than lofting.
Now, when you're saying boards, I mean the heads, the first 10 feet or 12 feet?
All the way down. Whatever boards were laid, they were 12-foot boards.
Uh-huh.
In other words, they were stroking boards. I had the high average in that house. I took all 3 trophies. And I had the high average of 209 in Brooklyn and in New York. I had, by the way, brag, here comes the brag. I averaged in the city of New York for 8 years.
Wow. Back then, that meant a lot.
Well, I had a 200 average in 4 leagues. That's
wow.
what
Hey, did you ever bowl the old, that very famous league at Paramus, Bert?
Yes, I did. I spent a year in that place, and Esposito was a personal friend of mine who who owned the house. I was the only bowler inside. I played 10-12, averaged 199 when everybody was playing outside 1 through 6. And I didn't do too badly with that.
Not at all.
Well, I threw the full roller. And that was strong, and I loved oil. I could play oil beautifully.
Yeah, that was the Eastern Classic Monday nights at Paramus on the low end. and they had the big bleachers right behind. Because I know when I'd go down for a regional, I'd hang around just to watch the Eastern Classic Bowl on Monday nights.
Yeah, I bowled 1 year there, but you see, it got to a point where I had to travel from home in Brooklyn out to Paramus, and by the time I got done with the pot games, I got about 3 hours sleep to go to work in the morning.
That's right.
But it was well worth it. We had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun upstate New York. There were 5 of us that were invited up to the league. Campy Tarsio. Remember Lou Campy?
Lou Campy, Wrongfoot Lou, yeah.
Yeah, those 2 guys were personal friends of mine. We bowled in Bowmore.
Okay, yep.
And we had the women with us, too. The good bowling women. They took half of the lanes, and we took half of the lanes. And it was quite a night. And Louis bowled on a bowling show up there, and he won all 13 weeks. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you just don't see today you'll see some bowlers bowl on the wrong foot, but you won't see a pro bowler doing anything like that anymore.
No. I remembered one other, but I can't recall his name at the moment. As to his name, he also bowled off the wrong foot. But that was the only 2 that I knew about.
So
what do you guys want out of me?
Well, what I want right now is, obviously, with John Mark's pin action book, what was your favorite action match?
My favorite action match?
Yes, sir.
Was with my doubles partner, Vinny Pantuso, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. And I found out about it because I was trying to get in touch with him, knowing that this show was on and that maybe I'd get him on. He was in the plumbing supply business, and he wasn't an action bowler on his own. He liked to bowl with me. And we had 12 matches, and we won all 12. We never lost. We could bowl anybody in the country. We were not afraid of anyone, and neither was I.
Yeah, I remember Vinny from Eastern Regional tournaments.
Right.
And even reading John Mark's book is like a trip down memory lane of, God, I remember him. Doc Iandoli is the first name that I remember.
Doc Iandoli from Queens. I know all about it. By the way, to give you a little insight on that, Triangle Bowl, which was just off the highway in Queens, we had a summer league with 32 PBA bowlers, and I won that. I averaged 212 for the season, for that summer season, and all the PBA bowlers were there.
No.
Or did you mention a guy? I hope I'm getting his name right, but it was such an interesting name. I think it was Rudy Patootie.
Oh yeah, the boys used to want me to come up to the Bronx. We were 12 of us, including my other doubles partner, Gil Edgett. And we'd go up to the Bronx, and I'd be sitting by the counter having a cup of coffee, and they'd set up a match with Rudy Pizzuti. He happened to be one of the hot kids up there in the Bronx, and I took care of business.
Now, in John Mark's book, he talks about Central Bowl in Yonkers, and I remember bowling there in 1966 before I went in the service. I did not know it burned down in 67. But any stories on bowling at Central Bowl, Bert?
Not too much. We had a summer league doubles up in outside of Westchester. I can't remember the name of the house. But I know one thing. I shot an open 300 up there, and I got the trophy to prove it. We came in, I think, 3rd or 4th, and the owner just loved to go after me. So he sent all the Bronx bowlers after me, and I took care of business. Rang the register, and he just handed me the money. The next to last match was with Ralph Engen on his home pair, 11 and 12 up there, and I took care of business, and I hurt him badly. I think I shot 759, he shot 698, and he had just come off the Cleveland bowling show, and he was really bowling very, very well. But that pair, I like that pair too.
Bert, what can you tell us about just how great a bowler Ralph Engen was, though? I mean, I hear everyone, who was there at the time told me that Ralph was just one of the smoothest players they'd ever seen, and it was strange because Ralph was this big, strapping guy.
Well, Ralph, I knew his father very well. He had a pro shop, and John and I used to hang out in one of the places we bowled in the league. I didn't bowl on the same team with him, but Ralph was just one of these guys that developed a stroke that could win anywhere. But that particular night, I was king. I used to bowl a couple of hundred games a week. I worked for Allstate, the company. I was an outside adjuster. So I could have the time in the afternoon after I did my business, and I do all my work in the house at night, write up my reports and all, that I had a chance to practice in Rainbow. Rainbow was my home. Neptune was my best house. And that was the situation. I used to practice downstairs. Bob Simonelli, who had the pro shop and was one of the owners, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. Give you a little story. George Stillman was a upcoming young bowler, and I happened to be downstairs practicing for for a tour shot. I think it was up in Hartford, and I knew every piece of speck of dirt that was on those two pairs. And he comes down and says, "Bergie, babe, 3 for 100. I said, "George, you don't want to do this, George." I said, and it's written in my website. I begged off because I didn't want to hurt him. Make a long story short, I pocketed the 100. And that was the end of that. And I still wished him well.
And Bert, what was $100 back then? Just so people understand, because $100 today may not sound like much, but in the late 1950s, I mean, what could $100 get you?
$300.
Yeah,
at least $300 to $400. Mm-hmm. Everybody used to bowl 3 for 25, 3 for 15, but I never got involved in that way. I always got involved in high matches. By the way, Vinny and I were bowling $10,000 matches. I bowled $10,000 matches. I'd have somewhere between 500 to 700 of my own, and I beat some of the best there was.
Yeah, and of course, with the backers putting all their money on the match, that's what brought it up to $10,000, right?
You don't know who my backers were. These were customers of mine. See, I was the service manager for Alpine Pontiac in Brooklyn. We sold 40 cars to the family every year.
The family.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm being very kind, please. I used to service their cars, and they never left less. The guy could just have a small service. He never left less than $50 to $100 to give to the mechanics in the shop. So that was where I got involved with them. And they offered me all kinds of money for the tour, but I said no. I had my own little bank account that I nurtured and kept, and none of my salary was ever touched. We went right to the family. In fact, he'd give me a week off every month, and I would go out on tour. So, and he sent my paycheck home because I was kind of, something special with him. And I stayed with him for a long time till the dealership quit. I'll tell you a story. And this is something that is in the website. We bowled at, I got a call at 6:30 at night on a Sunday that there's a doubles match between Phil Marino and the manager of Colony Bowl and me and Gil. We won the 3-game match, took $12,000 from him, and he took the money from the safe. He was arrested and sent to jail.
Wow.
That is a story. I never forgot it.
Yeah, and $10,000 or $12,000 back then, that would buy a house. Put it in perspective.
Payment on a Cadillac.
Yeah, that'd get you 4 cars. Yeah.
That's right. Those days, yes. The caddies were cheap at those prices, of course. Is there anything you want to ask me? Please do.
Well, I guess we got a minute of... Nope. 1 minute. Any head-to-head matches with Ernie Schlegel, since we've talked about him so
Ernie
much?
He wouldn't bowl me, and I wouldn't bowl him.
Professional courtesy.
Out of courtesy. The same thing with Johnny Petraglia and any of the others that I knew very well. We all had our face-up hellos. In the pot games, it was a different ball game.
Yeah.
Pot games was one thing. Head-up matches, they had theirs, I had mine. And I never picked on anybody. They all come looking for me.
Yeah,
One more story.
Okay.
I entered a bowling alley called Seaview on a Saturday night after bowling in a traveling league. The guy said to me, "Are you Bert Goodman?" I says, "Yes, I am." He says, "Would you like to bowl a doubles match?" And there is my doubles partner, Vinny Pantuso, and my other partner, the Legend. I says, "How much money do you have?" He says, "We got about 9,000. I says, "We can cover that easy." I says, "Tell you what, save yourself 5 hours. Give me 7 now and go home."
Well, listen.
The whole 9 and some.
We appreciate you coming on. We'll have you on again. And John Mark, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
I appreciate what you did. It makes my heart feel very warm and glowing.
Yeah, we need a way of preserving those golden eras of bowling.
Oh, there's a lot more. By the way, anybody wants to watch the website, it's bertgoodman.com.
All right, well, thanks a lot. We'll see everybody next week.
WTAN, Clearwater, Tampa Bay.